Hi, and welcome to another edition of ROX Talks on ROX TV. Tonight, I'm talking to singer-songwriter from the United States, Glazergirl. Take it away. So it's been too long.
I know, but it takes time to get where we're trying to go.
I know, of course, I fully understand. And what a way you've come as well.
Sorry?
What a way you've come as well. I mean, it's been like three and a half years-ish since we've
No,
interviewed.
no, not that long.
Hasn't it? Oh, right.
No. Okay, let's just say 3 years. It took me 2 years
Okay.
to put this together, though.
Yeah. What prompted you to leave your previous band, if you don't mind me asking?
Uh, the band is currently defunct, from what I heard from one of my old bandmates. Truthfully, just different ideas of
Right.
where, wanted to go. So it's okay. We're all friends. But
Sometimes it just
just it
does.
just we're just have different objectives.
Yeah.
So there's stuff I really wanted to do. There's stuff they wanted to do a certain way, but you know, we just did our thing. So we stayed in touch,
That's
and
good.
yeah. So I just did my thing.
And it's worked out very well. Thank you for sending the files over.
Thankfully, right? I'm so excited.
Yeah, and it's a different direction from your previous band. There's more it's a more modern sound.
Do you think? It's
Mm.
kind of funny. The goal was probably along the lines of active rock when I was working with George and with Jay with the music. But when it comes across with how I put together the vocal melodies and the storylines, it does seem more like a modern rock take on 80s meets today's active rock. Sorry, I talk with my hands. I don't know whether to put them in the video or not.
All right, don't worry. Yeah. I mean, that's how it struck me. There's this way the way it's been mastered, and the way each song has an edge to it. It does have a very modern feel to it. Still quite straight ahead, sort of classic rock, but there is this fresh sound. It's the best way of putting it.
That's right. You heard the whole album.
Yeah,
You
and
haven't just
it
heard the
is
release. You
killer.
got to hear all 5 songs.
Yeah. Let's talk about the album for the moment.
Sure.
You've called the album Mothership.
Yes.
Is this about your
Purposeful.
mother?
Well, she's the mothership of the family. She's actually in the
Yeah.
hospital right now. So I have to run there after this. Yes, it's for my mom. She's always been my biggest fan. Even in college when I was in a play, she flew up to Washington, D.C. And there's one of the cats. And if, yes, he's naughty. That's Dio. He's named for Ronnie James Dio.
Oh,
Um,
in that case, then.
yeah, this, my, it's named Mothership for my mom because she's my biggest fan. She suffers with dementia, which is like early stage dementia along the lines of, Alzheimer's and whatnot. And she used to come to all of my band practices, no matter what I was doing. If I have in the house floor monitors and all the electronics and gear. So if we had rehearsals here, I skipped having a dining room to do this. I don't really care about a table. I'm more interested in having sounds. So she would come over. She would drive over every night. She'd call my father on the phone that she was coming. She can't drive anymore. And she doesn't remember. It's like every time I tell her that the album is named Mothership for her, because I call up, I say, "Good, hi, Mothership." And she'll say, "Hi, Daughtership." It's always a surprise now. So it's awful, but kind of neat that it's new for her every time. So it's for her.
It also means that there is like a permanent reminder there, isn't there? There is something that you'll always have. It's a very permanent thing that you've done.
Yes, and it's also for my family. I don't want to get all
Mm.
like teary right now, so I'm gonna breathe.
Oh,
So yeah, it's also for the family that they know that what I did was with beauty. Um,
It's a very beautiful thing that you've done. I mean, it touched me personally. It touched my husband as well because we hear that much rock music, which is utterly vacuous for the most part, and to hear something that is so personal and about something that touches a lot of us. There are a lot of people affected by Alzheimer's and dementia. It's a horrible, horrible illness.
It is a horrible illness, but I think anybody who is dealing with a parent who is going through something, it doesn't have to be that in particular, but we have to understand that the individual is frightened on the inside, that all of a sudden they realize, I'm mixed up. Why am I mixed up? Where's, she keeps asking for my father. He passed 5 years ago. Or she'll wake up from a nap and say, Mom, Dad, but my grandparents passed 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So, she has her long-term clarity. If you contact her about, the old days in New York, she'll tell you everything. She'll tell you about her prom dress. But if you talk about now, it's like 10-second Tom from that movie where her short-term memory's gone. So in homage to her, I felt the song and the video should have something memorable for the family as well as for the viewer. It's a great rock song.
Yes,
I think
yes.
if you don't know what it's about, that Amnesia of Me really just makes you want to jam. But if you know what it's about and understand the story and read the lyrics or really listen to the lyrics, and I'm also producing a lyric video at this time to go with it, because maybe some people like to sing along. It's kind of catchy, I think. People call me and say, hey, I just got up and I'm thinking while I'm showering, lost again, lost again. That's the pre-chorus, but
Yeah.
that's important. And a lot of the photography, in particular, in the beginning of the video, you'll see a piano spinning around and there's picture frames. And as the piano turns, the pictures disappear, and that represents memories leaving. Even though they're long-term memories, it's essentially symbolic of that. But what's featured in the video is, how she sees herself, or how a caretaker sees her seeing herself. We actually included at the very end a commentary by her after we'd gone to a show, what a good time she'd had. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, people with this very often start to, I think they call it sundowning, don't even remember that they've been to the show or been out with you all day or who they've been with all day. So it's supposed to be a memoriam of beauty for the family, as well as just exciting for the viewer. And it was actually done at my house that I grew up in since 1975. It's where she is. So, yeah.
I think that's what gives it that extra emotional depth. Is that it's a real house. It's not a movie set. It's not, it's
It's
a
like
house.
a movie set.
It's very. I mean, it looks gorgeous. I wish our house looked like that house.
Oh, well,
House was like a
that's
nuclear bomb
a
site
lot
most
of
of the time.
years. Back in 1975, it was just a little bungalow in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? We came from the Northeast. So you had asked about the other songs in the album. So Amnesia of Me is specifically about that topic. Each song has its own story. So wherever you want to start with, I'll.
Yeah, well, let's start at the top. Let's start the opening song, "The Kingdom."
Oh, there's a cat in a bag.
Oh, that's no. It's
you
a
hear
pleasure
it?
to see.
Right? He's in a Harley Davidson bag right now, rolling around.
What a cool
Sorry about
cat.
that. I meant to move that. Hey, right, he's naughty. All right, what's next?
The Kingdom.
The Kingdom is going to the Kingdom. Well, I went on a bit of a spiritual journey a couple of years ago. A friend of mine said that my life would be better if I had a better relationship with the Lord, with God, so to speak. And I gave it some thought. And, I noticed a lot of godlessness in society, or not that there's godlessness, that people are just not as aware of their spirituality, because this is non-denominational. I'm hoping to encourage people to step away from their technology, step away from things. I love things. I love, oh, look, I'm going to go get a fun necklace. I love things. We all do. But it can't be what it's about. I mean, when the kids are sitting next to each other and they're texting and they can't even communicate with each other, or people don't sit down to a family dinner. I don't encourage television during dinner. That's a time to talk to one another about each other's days. But in the kingdom, there are references to the book of Romans. I do as I do, not as I ought to do or have to do, but as I do. There's references to the book of Job about things, gold, silver, silks, whatever it is. You have the 7 deadly sins, and everybody kind of in an underlying musical tone that's there, just kind of whispering to you pride and lust and gluttony and sloth. I just felt it's a really cool multi-genre song, and it didn't even occur to me it was multi-genre until I really gave it a listen and had a few people listen like, hey, this is really cool hard rock. And I've had other people say, hey, this is reminiscent of worship or Christian rock, or hey, I could line dance this. But to me, it's just a hard rock song. It's just, to me, it's rock, metal. Maybe I don't necessarily fit with the metal part, but it's definitely rock. But I think the message is good. It comes from not believing to recognizing you come into the world naked and you're going to go out of the world naked and you can't take it with you. And someone has suffered for us to be able to have the lives that we have and to have the forgiveness of original sin. And in the end, you recognize that God envelops you and he's caring for you. So I thought that would be my ability to share music and still share an idea that if we can get away from stuff, that we could be more involved with each other as community, but also be a little more spiritual and give more thought to how we verbalize and how we think, and opening ourselves in a positive way to the universe, because what you put into the world is what you get back. And it's not, oh, I'm doing this to get it back. I don't know if there's true altruism or not. That is subjective. But if we can at least open ourselves to be kinder, gentler, more loving, more open to there being something greater than ourselves, and bringing ourselves back together, is the goal of the kingdom.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that leads us into the next song, The Liar's Way.
Oh, The Liar's Way was fun. That was a really hard song to write. I was talking to George. It's George Pond from Disciples of Verity. I was talking to George. He's a very good friend of mine. We're actually both in the same industry, because I'm Glazergirl. I'm actually a glazier. I'm a general contractor in the glass industry. He's also in the glass industry. So my friend George and I were talking about that song, and I've had the hardest time writing it. And it is really about, you don't intend to be a liar. They talk about lying by omission. By omitting a fact, you technically lie. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to the person you're with. When you try to love, they love you. You try to love the hours, meaning the physical part of the relationship is awesome. But sometimes you see that person falling for you and you're just not getting there. And you're warning them, don't do it. Don't fall, because I can't chase you down the lane. So essentially, that could represent anybody's moment with somebody. It's not a personal story, perchance. It can be a personal story. It's everybody's personal story, I think. And that whether he or she finds that certain, I have to get a tissue. I'm sorry. Hang on.
That's okay.
That he, sorry, it's a very bright light behind you. That he or she may or may not want to be involved on that level. That's okay too. We're at different points in our lives, but there are times when we, in fact, we see somebody who's falling for you in any capacity. Some people find romance in business, you know, they get real into it. That's their appetite. Or it could be on the personal level of actual, okay, maybe it's a hookup, but now it's not. Or maybe you start to date and you really get into it and you don't seem to get back, you know, what you need. So the liar's way is really unintentional until they recognize, I can't quite get there. Don't fall, because I'm really enjoying you, but I can't make it in that degree.
Very good. I mean, it's very clever. I mean, it's something again that people can easily identify with. I think we've all sort of been there in that situation. And the next song along, of course, is the lead song, which is Amnesia of Me, which we've talked about.
Yeah. It's essentially Amnesia of Me. I'm forgetting who I am.
Yeah,
I'm disappearing.
absolutely.
I'm disappearing down the rabbit hole. There's a reference to Alice in Wonderland. I turn the knob and I walk through it like Alice in her glass. Undo it. Down the hole. I'm so alone. The pills don't help. I can't find home. I'm lost again. And that's essentially what the person is struggling with. And they don't necessarily always recognize it, but that's what it is. So a lot of people have lost parents, friends, uncles, cousins, grandmothers, whatever it is. And it's just that it's trying to see the experience that person's going through and put it out there as a metaphor to maybe help other people understand. I did contact the Alzheimer's Association and I related to them, and they have a section on their website pertaining to, it's called #music moments, and they're artists who put music up there pertaining to the subject matter and its importance to them. So I do include that hashtag when I put my video out. And there's a lot of purple for Alzheimer's all over the video. I had purple in my hair, you know, it's just to kind of
and your
bring awareness. Yeah. Well, the stripe was fun. I was going to put it on this morning. I'm like, yeah, that's great for the morning. I'll make my coffee and I'll put a stripe across my eyes.
And what about the song that follows that? The Weep. Don't weep.
Don't weep. You know, I was in a place and I heard a conversation between some people I know. They were referring to someone who was in a domestic situation where the girl wasn't leaving, knowing the situation was bad. And there was a couple guys talking that said, you know, she knows the situation's bad and she doesn't do anything about it. She doesn't leave. This is so that people understand that sometimes people can't find a way out. But we have to be supportive of what we know, even on a private level, that they should know they can turn to you. And we need to be open to them. It's very hard to seek help when you don't recognize. And that could be in any capacity. That could be someone who has a drug or alcohol problem, and maybe they don't recognize a problem. In this case, the song's about domestic violence. It's about lying and omitting truth. Again, about lying, omitting truth about the situation that you're in, because you're trying to survive. How are you trying to survive? You know, there's a line in the song about who's going to pay your rent. So maybe people don't see themselves, you know, without getting maybe some kind of financial backing. They're not necessarily getting emotional backing. It could be a verbal abuse. It could be a physical abuse. Being put down enough really destroys self-esteem. And sometimes you can't find your way out. And sometimes you take a good licking from someone, but you're not going to say anything because you don't want to get one again, or you're threatened, or you're in fear of your life. So my favorite section, which is an unfortunate section, is she walks in the room, all eyes upon her. She touches her womb. She touches her face where a hand has been, and goes to the stand, and the person's on the stand, and she lies, but she could end up dead because of it. And it's basically telling you, you know, we understand that you're in a horrible situation and we're here for you. Whoever it is, you should be able to, you know, I know a lot of people don't want to get involved in things. I get it. You know, we don't want to make waves. We don't want to be involved, but there are situations where if that person does reach out, you know, let them know it's okay to say no. How do we help them? I'm sorry?
I was like, you have to, don't you? You have to act. You have to do all that you can.
I don't know what we can or cannot do, but there there's so many that are not alone, and they don't see sometimes that they're in that situation. They think everything's glorious and they tolerate certain things because they want something a certain way. I can't answer for that accurately.
No,
It's not
no,
my experience. It's just a story I heard, and I thought it was relevant to today.
absolutely. Especially given during lockdown, there's been such a marked increase in domestic violence and things like that because people have been in very close quarters with each other and tensions have raised, shall we say. And again, you seem to have your finger on the pulse of what affects people. You're very wise, if you don't mind me saying so. You're very wise to people's emotions and situations that people find themselves in.
I think people have a lot of stories that they don't necessarily share themselves, but they're so common in terms of how
Mm.
frequently we hear it, unfortunately, that I think people will relate. Oh, there's Dio. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, he's so mean. He's such a mean little kitty.
And what about chili flower? What's the story
Chili
behind chili
Flower was
flower?
like my absolute favorite in the very beginning. Wow, it's such a cool song. It's a true story about a friend of mine. Um, one of my friends told me a story that when he was a little boy, about 4 years old, I'm not going to say what state he was living in, but the family had a house behind, with a wall behind it, like it was like a house and then like a gas station. And apparently the gas station got robbed, and this guy jumped the wall. And at the house, the mother had, I guess, made a garden, was trying to make something beautiful. Really, Dio? You're gonna knock everything over? Wait, let me just get him. This is Dio. He's very naughty.
Oh,
He's a very naughty
gorgeous.
cat. Yes, wandered
Absolutely
into my office. Look, you're
gorgeous.
famous now, Dio. All right, go. Sometimes we call him Jasper. He has a lot of horrible nicknames. Sometimes he's Red Stripe. Sometimes he's Naughty Boy. I'm not going to give you the rest. Anyway, so the story goes like this. So apparently there was a garden, and the young man, he's 4 years old, is in the garden, and he sees under the flowers. Flowers are supposed to be beautiful, a place of peace, a place of beauty. Saw something shiny, picked it up. It was a gun. So the robber must have dropped his gun, and he's a little boy, didn't know better, and he pointed it at his 8-year-old brother. So thankfully, there wasn't a tragedy. Thankfully, he was able to get the gun from the little boy and handed it to the mother. And of course, the police came. So it's really a metaphor for a story that occurred. So in the second verse, when it talks about the mother burned by the sun, it's not the son, it's her son handing her the cat. And but did I say cat? By the gun, because the cat walked by. Getting burned by the sun meant that it wasn't a hot gun, but the gun was in her hand. It was given to her. So it's an actual story about what could have been and how one brother saved the other brother.
Very
That's a
cool.
cool song, and I really like the music that goes. I mean, I like the music in every song. They're each different and special, but this one really. I thought I was going to do this as the lead song, but they're all going to come out one at a time, even though it's all part of an EP that I'm releasing all together. For the moment, I'm doing, one song at a time so people have an opportunity to really digest each one.
It's the best thing to do, especially these days, because it's the way things are.
Yeah.
Um, they so how did you go about picking musicians for this EP? I mean, there are some amazing music on there.
I had just really good people. I had George Pond and Jay Munch put together the music, and then Zach Moranowick from Disciples of Verity. He did the solo in Amnesia of Me, and they're friends. They George is actually his band is Disciples of Verity's frontman is Corey Glover. We all know him from Living Color. But George is a friend of mine, and Jay is a friend of mine, and then I just had really great people doing the editing and the mixing. George produced the whole thing. And then I had Charlie Barzanski, and he did all of my mixing, and then Rogue mastering. I just had really good people, and they're all friends with each other, so it was really nice. And as far as the musicianship, it was just a pleasure. I really left that to the quote unquote, there's the cat again, the professionals to handle for me. Um, I would discuss what I did or did not want, how it should be. No, this didn't make sense to me. Yes, this makes sense to me. Wait, can we go through this? Okay, this is the pre-chorus. This is the chorus. This is the blah, blah, blah. Maybe if we tighten and change. But overall, I mean, it was just perfect from the word go. Everything was just a question of when I have the aha moment to get the melody and get the lyrics going. They're just great people.
Certainly sounded. I mean,
Yeah.
so the music is on point. So is the production. The way, as I say, it's got a very modern production, which you say you've got the rock thing, the classic rock thing, but the punchiness is very, very now, especially in amongst, dare I say, female fronted rock and metal. That punchiness that we seem to be putting out at the moment is leaving
Thank
the
you.
boys
Yeah.
standing, quite frankly.
Well, I'm not really into I'm going to call it's a terrible word, like the Cookie Monster music. I don't do
Mm,
the yelling. I more have things I want to say and share. And it wasn't always like that when I'd write. It's, I try to, I don't write till I feel inspired. And I'm usually inspired by a story or something I've read or something I've studied. So maybe I have a lot of words. So, yeah, no, it's cool. I really love 80s music. The vocalists back then were just spectacular.
yeah.
My inspirations were also 90s. So uh, I think it reaches out to both parts of those generations. And I love rock. I just love rock. But how do you use rock and sing it in a way that you leave people humming the tune or remembering a lyric? A lot of people don't listen to lyrics. A lot of people just want to rock out.
Mm. But the
That's
lyrics are
okay too,
important.
because they're that kind of thing.
Mm. Are you considering doing any live dates at all?
Am I considering what?
Any live dates? Any live shows?
At the moment, I'm hoping to attract attention to open for somebody. I have more to write. This is just a 5-song EP.
Mm.
This was my first foray into being a solo artist. And I like to believe it will be received well. We're in the process of marketing it out for reviews. And I'm, you know, I wanted to make sure that you and I had our interview together because I enjoyed working with you last time. So
Likewise.
you really got the first bite of the apple.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, no, go rocks.
Is there anything before I let you go, honey? Is there anything you'd like to say to the people out there? Any last words you'd like to say?
Well, any last words? Let me think. I got a couple things. The album cover, the photo of me, it's supposed to be representing being full circle, and life goes in full circle. So that picture was taken by a friend of mine in 2009 for one of my first gigs. And in that photo, originally I had blonde hair and mesh gloves. And so my graphic artist, Ray Fonseca from rayok.com, he changed the gloves, changed a few aspects just of the outfit, and made my hair back to black because it represents where I've been and where I'm going. I think that when we look at our lives, there's a lot of repetition, and sometimes we question the why of things in our lives. And if we kind of go with blind faith, we'll get to the next level. So I think people just need to be open to things coming full circle and having faith that things work out and that your stories have value and you have value and sharing them have value. It's just a lot of love in the album. And I really hope that listeners will be interested in checking out Glazergirl Mothership. I'm doing a single at a time. I will put out the full album after we do our releases. And I welcome people to get in touch at glazergirlrocks@gmail.com if they have questions. And I thank them in advance for their support.
I'm sure you're guaranteed support, and I'm sure you're guaranteed a lot of very positive comments on this EP. I really do, and wish you sincerely all the best. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Glazy Girl. Hats off to you, babe.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Good luck with the EP.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Deja vu happens again. Don't know where to end or begin. Trust it falls out of my eyes. I know I've been there where all these nights. Help me as I drown in the sun. No, not who I am. I try to run. Help me, hold my hand. Wait, who are you? I'm lost again. Lost again, lost again, lost again. Am I lost again? And who are you? And who am I? I'm lost again. Wait, I'm inside. I awaken every day like a bird of prey, hungering for the me who I used to be. I awaken every day like a bird of prey, hungering for the me. These eyes, they are not me. Look into the mirror. Wait a sec, I see a glimmer. Know the face, but not the place. Perhaps we've met before. I turn the knob and I walk through it. A callous and a glass undo it. Down the whole line, so alone. The pills don't help, I can't find home. Lost again, lost again, lost again. Am I lost again? And who are you? And who am I? I'm lost again. Wait, I'm inside. I awaken every day like a bird of prey, hungering for the me who I used to be. I awaken every day like a bird of prey, hungering for the me. These eyes, they are not me. I awaken every day like a bird of prey, hungering for the me who I used to be. I awaken every day like a bird of prey, hungering for the me. These eyes, they are not me.
Beautiful show, beautiful singing, was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it tremendously.